Okay, so here we are in France finally. Lovely place to be, lovely place for wine. I'm going to do something a little bit different to follow up on. There's another one I did a couple of years ago, which I shall link up here if I can, if I remember, when I do remember. And yeah, so basically in France, everybody can find a decent wine from, drinkable wine from only a few euros a bottle all the way up to the top. And therefore, I'm not going to do the usual, 5, 10, 15, and sometimes more expensive bottles of wine, but I'm going to do something that I find quite nice here. So following on again, as I said, from the Chateau Clinet that I did, one of the things that I really like when I'm in France, because quite often, I'm on holiday, I love Bordeaux, there are some amazing Bordeauxs, and I really want to try them. So what I've been doing is using this Club des Sommeliers, and they have some Grand Reserves. They all have this lovely kind of white label, but they say where the wine is actually from. So this is a Dauzac. You'll recognize it from the sort of yellow label that they normally have. And I was absolutely blown away by the Clinet that I had in Bordeaux back in, it must have been 2 years ago, in 2020. And again, link up here. So yeah, I went to my local little spa, which looks like nothing from the outside, but inside they have wonderful wines, being France. We are in France, and in France, any supermarché like this can have amazing wines, which it does. So let's entree, as they say, and you'll see. And so yeah, I thought I would get to their 2017 Margaux. Now obviously 2017 is not the greatest year in the world, but it's not the worst either. We may as well finish this off. Let's see if there's any sediment in. I can't see any. There's a little bit of sediment, but we don't mind that. So this was opened yesterday, so it's had plenty of time to breathe and do all the things that it wants to do. Oh wow, I mean it is, so I must admit the Clinet really blew me away. And the reason for that is that some of the wines that these guys have are kind of much more expensive than these wines usually go for about 20 or 30 euros a bottle. Some of them are more, like 40. And some are even 50 euros. But the wine, I don't know whether they're bin ends or what they are, but they are, I'm assuming they must be bin ends, because the ones that I've seen don't appear on the website anymore of the actual vineyard. So whether they're buying the bin ends of and selling them cheaper, or whether this is some wonderful egalitarian French thing, which the French are very good at every so often. And the people should be able to taste these wonderful wines. But just have a look, because some of them are kind of 20 euros and they're only 30 euros anyway, or 30 euros and they're only 30 euros anyway. But some of them are only 30 to 50 euros, and the actual wine, like the one that's coming up next, is about £100 a bottle from the vineyard. And the Clinet was about £100. That was a 2015 Clinet, and it was astounding. It was exactly what I needed right there and then as the first outing in the first lockdown. So as you can see, just look at the colour of this. You've got the light behind you. You can't really see now. It's almost impossible to bring that out. I did think about sitting on the balcony so you could see the wonderful ski resort behind me. But yeah, that involved a lot of cold and suffering. And to be honest, I would go through that, but I don't think it'd be very good for the wine tasting either, because the wine would be freezing before I could actually enjoy it. So this, perfect temperature. It's a bit heavy on the end. Dauzac is not my favourite Margaux, but it is a very nice one. So let's get the Vivino out and see how many Vivinos we have. Some of these wines, I was looking at them in the supermarket, and they were like 4.4, which, you don't get very many 4.4s for 30 euros at least. What I kind of like about this as well is if you're going to have a little connection, so this is 4.1, and it says the average price is 109 euros. Now I assume that's for the original Dauzac. So for 30 euros, you're getting 110 euro bottle of wine. Bear in mind, I'm going to take a screenshot of this, because what it does when you're doing this is it's showing me the Margaux bottle that this is in white, but I've got the yellow Dauzac one next to me. So I'm assuming it's the same wine. It could have changed, it could not. If anyone knows any more about the Club Sommelier, let me know. Now, let's get into the Vivinoage. That is a word. So the equalizer of taste characteristics, as I'll call it, slightly less bold and tannic than a Rioja, the usual stuff that we're drinking, slightly more acidic, equally dry. But what people are saying about it, well, they're saying obviously oak, vanilla and tobacco, and the tobacco is really hard on the back of the throat actually. It was when I first opened it, it was when I retried it, and it is now. It's got this, I think it's very tannic as well. So the next thing they say is blackberry, blackcurrant, and cassis. Now cassis is a wonderful, it is almost the umami that I look for in big red French wines, but it's definitely there, it's big. I mean, there's a fruit in here that you just do not get from a big Ribera or a big Rioja, and it's very nice. But then you get to leather, earthy, and smoke, definitely. There's definitely, the leather I'd say is the biggest of those. It's definitely very earthy. I think that sort of, it's almost, you know, those kind of grapes that have the thick skins and they're kind of harsh, and almost plums sometimes have that. You know, there's a wonderful fruit, but the skin has this kind of harsh finish. And I don't mean harsh in a bad way. It's basically reminding you of what a big natural force of nature this wine is. It is, I mean, just look at the color. It is, I mean, it's just wonderful being in France. Anyway, cherry red fruit and raspberry. Definitely big fruits. And then we're down to licorice, pepper, and mint. There's definitely the licoricey, you know, the cassis variant of the licorice umami going on. The pepper and mint are very interesting. There is definitely, there's a peppery, spicy thing going on, and the mint it's interesting. I wouldn't have picked up mint if somebody hadn't, well, not somebody, 500 people have mentioned it, which is very interesting. No, 147 mentioned, sorry. Violet, perfume, lavender. They're definitely there, but they're not as strong as I would say. So we've got almond, toast, and walnut. The walnut is definitely there. That's that bigness. Bigness is a word, but that big, you know, back taste that I'd said is, you know, tobacco, leather, cassis, this pepper, and there's also walnuts. You know how a walnut can sometimes have this big sort of, it's not a secondary flavor. It's like it's like an accompanying force that comes with it. I'm not very eloquent with my words today. But yeah, the almond is there. The yeasty, toasty sort of notes, I'm not really picking that up. And then we've got the people going on with the cheese, the cream, and the oil, and the yeasty notes. No. 22 mentions of prune, raisin, and dried fruit. Now, obviously, it wouldn't be a big, lovely Bordeaux without those. Bitter almond, definitely. There is the bitter almond. It's finished, you know, that walnutty flavour. I mean, this is a big wine. There's no doubt about this. This is not a wine for somebody who, you know, normally drinks rosé and says, oh, go on, I'll have a glass of red then. This is a glass of red for people like me who love big reds. And even for me, this is a big red. It's really big. The bell pepper, I'm not picking up the bell pepper really. There is something vegetal in there, and they say tomato as well. But it's almost, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't, it's not a major flavour for me. And then we move on to the citrus, lemon, grapefruit, apple, quince, and pineapple. These other flavours are definitely there. I mean, yeah. So, I don't know if there's anything else. Delicious earthy chocolate, somebody said. Deep purple, still a bit. Yeah, there is, it is, yeah. Tasted at the Chateau, this is someone else, I mean obviously they're tasting the real one. Proved its value as a Grand Cru Classe. Violet colour with various flavours, soft tannin. Well, someone's saying soft tannin. I'm not sure about that, but I'm not, I wouldn't consider myself a tannin expert. It is Kapsov and Merlot blend. And the winemaker says, back on the palate with dark fruit notes, definitely. A liveliness giving elegant freshness, absolutely. And in the final, it's licorice aromas with a long cool, confirming the quality of Cabernet Sauvignon. The precise tannins guarantee a nice development. Precise tannins, I think, is the best description. I was probably a bit too much on the big tannins, and I think the light tannins are not enough. What they say, it is definitely precise tannins. This has got enough tannin to carry through a wine of this fortitude, and I mean, this is good. So the world gave this a 4.1 Vivino, and I think that is fair. That is very fair. And so with that note, I will get on. I've got a Saint Julien. I mean, I'll show you in the B-roll the sheer amount of wines in a little corner supermarket. It's just astonishing. It is just a wonderful place to be if you like wine. And it is a lovely, wonderful place to be if you like the mountains. So let's get on to the Saint Julien, and I shall see you in the next one. Don't forget to look at the Clinay that I've done of these. There may be some other ones. If I'm feeling ambitious, I will get some other ones as well. And with that note, I shall see you in the next one.